Chris, good evening to you. We have known for some time Harry and Meghan aren't too happy with the burden of their royal duties. They loathe in particular the media intrusion, but was anybody expecting this bombshell?
Well, you know, I think the signs were probably all there when you look back at the documentary that we had on ITV last autumn, when they were talking about the struggles that they were having. You know, Harry touched on the difficulties with the relationship with his brother. Meghan talking about, you know, it's not good enough just to survive, you've got to thrive. All of the signs were there. And then they announced that 6 weeks break that they've only just got back from in Canada. And then, boom, yesterday evening, our time, so I think breakfast time, your time today, came that announcement that they were literally resigning effectively from the royal family, stepping back as senior royals, spending part of their time in Canada, part of their time in the UK. The significant point here is that the Queen and other senior members of the royal family, which includes Harry's own father, Prince Charles, had no idea that the statement was coming and had no idea what was in it. And that's why I'd probably go further. Disappointment, yes, that's one of the official lines. I'd say there's quite a lot of anger in some of the other royal households right now.
OK, so are we talking quitting altogether or just moving to part-time duties?
Well, you know what? I mean, we don't know the answers to these questions, and perhaps much more significantly, the palace doesn't know the answers to these questions because they weren't expecting it. The thinking in other palaces was, why couldn't Harry and Meghan have decided all this beforehand, you know, discreetly, and then made the announcement? Instead, they've done it the other way around. They've made the announcement and none of the answers are there. So to be quite clear with you, the courtiers don't know how it's going to work. How are they going to be funded? Do they still take their, you know, taxpayer-funded police protection officers? Do they still live in Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, which you'll know from stories you've done, I'm sure, that it was refurbished at a cost of £2.4 million from the taxpayer funds as well? So many questions still unanswered, and we're not just the only ones asking them. They're asking them in Buckingham Palace as well. Yes, a fair bit of rage, as you say. Financially independent strikes me as a bit odd. Is it possible for any member of the royal family to become financially independent, given their profile and their stature, in terms of, I guess, finding another gig anywhere in the world? Well, other members of the royal family do have jobs. If you look at, like, Princess Anne's daughter, Zara Phillips, she's not a full-time royal, she works. If you look at Prince Andrew's daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, they're sort of part royal, part workers as well. So it's possible that they could find some way of going forward. But, you know, Harry's much more senior. He's number 6 in the line of succession, and therefore it's much more difficult to try and work out how is he going to become financially independent. Right now, all of his money comes from the Duchy of Cornwall, which is the pot of money that pays for Prince Charles's operation, but from that he funds his 2 sons, both William and Kate, and Harry and Meghan. So this whole question of financial independence, we simply don't know. I mean, both Harry and Meghan have private sources of income. His from what was left by Princess Diana, his mother. She from, you know, the income that she made by being a very successful actress. I don't think she's going to return to acting to become financially independent, but she may well be now looking at you know, kind of philanthropic work, or perhaps being an ambassador for a certain country, a brand ambassador. We simply don't know, and as I say, the palace don't know either. We've seen Prince Andrew step back from his royal duties for completely different and darker reasons recently. Does this, Chris, in your view, point to, I guess, a more slimmed-down monarchy in the decades to come? Well, if you've seen what the palace issued at the start of the decade, which was that portrait of the Queen and the 3 future kings, so Charles and William and little Prince George, that was rather a sign of that's how they see this so-called slimmed-down monarchy in the years ahead, and therefore Harry and Meghan aren't part of that. And there was also video pictures of the same group of people, the Queen and her 3 heirs, mixing the Christmas pudding around Christmas time. But, you know, the Queen spoke in her Christmas message of last year being a bumpy year. She didn't choose the famous annus horribilis, which she used to describe 1992, but she called it a bumpy year. And as you say, Prince Andrew, her second son, she effectively had to sack from royal duties, and now her grandson, perhaps the most well-known royal in the world, you'll know from the reaction that Australia gave them back in 2018 when they were on the tour there. He's now announced effectively that he wants out. He's turning his back on the firm. That's a lot to deal with for the 93-year-old monarch. And just finally, very quickly, on your view, how much of this is being driven by Meghan, the most recent member of the royal family, coming from the outside and having to deal with all this pressure, all this burden? Well, Harry's fallen in love. He married Meghan. She is from a different country. She's American. She's from a different background. Clearly something was going wrong. Who's to blame for that? We can't say. Was it the media's fault? Was it other members of the royal palace not welcoming them? Was it Harry and Meghan themselves? Whatever the reason, it's gone wrong. And Harry and Meghan have now announced that they want out.
Chris Shipp, thank you very much for your analysis tonight.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.